Good afternoon, everybody. This is welcome to Matured Musicians Interview with Mark Goldberg today. Hi,
Hello there.
Mark. Thanks for showing up today, and we'll be hearing your story in just a moment. I want to give a shout out to my sponsor, Chad Quist. He is a very creative and collaborative uh, studio that seeks to get your music out there and make it the best ever. So, if you
Yes.
have any needs, you can find him under Facebook. On the internet under his name or Luscious Moss Studio, also on Facebook. So if you have any needs, you can contact him there. He's located in Edgewood, Washington.
hmm
And I have my songs produced there, and I entirely am committed to the work that he does. He's a very, very fine producer. So if, once again, I heartily recommend him, be sure to give him a call. With that being said, Mark, tell us about how this all got started, and what
I've
was your
always
first year?
liked music. I mean, I've always liked popular music and stuff from the time I was very young, and it was just something that just spoke to me when nothing else really did. So I started playing guitar at 14 because I went to this. I was at a summer camp, a Jewish summer camp, and I took a guitar class there, and most people don't know about it, but it was a good place for its time, and I remember that I took the guitar class there, and one person who was working there, his name was Craig, who was really had a heart of gold and everything. He saw what progress I was making on the guitar because I was learning chords like that. So he ended up giving me a guitar for free at the end of this, at the
Uh,
that camp session, and that was, bless him.
yes.
So there, I was able to go forward and more forward, and then I started playing piano too because I always liked Elton John, Billy Joel, and I knew Lennon and McCartney played piano too, and I was a Beatles fan, so I figured if they could do it, I should be able to do it as well. They could play as well piano as well as guitar. So,
And you do both extremely well. So I think you've made how many albums at this point?
let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, seven.
Oh goodness.
Yeah,
How have you made? How many have you made since COVID?
since COVID, I've done about one, two, about three.
About three albums.
Yeah,
How many songs do you put on your album?
about 10 each.
Hot 10. Wow, that's a lot of music. So after you went to this um, guitar study and ended up picking up the piano, when did you actually start working out? And what was your first gig or the first time that you performed?
First gig I ever had as a solo artist was when I played talent show. Played a talent show at some school that a friend of mine went to. She sent me there for some reason, which was weird because it was a school that it was like a grade school. So it was like a grade school talent show. She didn't know that, but I ended up playing as an 18-year-old. I ended up just doing this random guitar improvisation for everyone there. But at least it was a beginning.
Yeah. Well, so what was the first time that you ended up doing a full gig for money?
Well, in 1992, I was starting to play classical guitar, which I don't really do much anymore. I played at the Cafaneo Coffee House, I believe, in Torrance, California.
Wow.
Yeah, I played for an hour and got a lot of accolades.
Yeah. So how did you, obviously, your music probably has changed over the years. Is that correct? Or have you stayed pretty much within in the genre that you're doing now?
Well, I don't really have a bag, as they say. I go through all kinds of genres, really, myself. Because I have songs like Gran Torino, which is kind of funk, Seek the Silver Sea, which is more hard rock, and things like that. So that's kind
Yeah.
of how it works.
Yeah, I gotcha. So with all that being said, what kind of music? I know what kind of music you're playing today, but the folks out there don't. So the people that might tune in later or that may be online right now, uh,
Sure.
what would you tell them about your music progression from before COVID, just before COVID, until now, which is all, I would say, is probably a 5 year period, including that time frame.
Oh, let's see. I just started really just writing like mad during the pandemic, you know.
Mm.
That's where my double album Superstars came from all that writing I was doing and, and I was just I just wanted to keep moving forward and just doing stuff that was just challenging to myself, but still good.
Yeah. So have you ever had most of the time when I see you, you're doing a solo act.
Yeah.
Have you ever done anything with a band?
Well, my friend John Newmark and myself are playing together currently. He and I, we have a duo, and we're playing. Let's see. Let me think here for a moment. We're playing on March 1st at the William Degrassi in Duval.
Oh yeah, I know where that is. I go there occasionally.
We played quite a few venues, and we do pretty good. And I played in a few bands, but none of them really. Before that, nothing really ever worked out.
Yeah.
Um, it's
What has been the most difficult since you started? What has been the most difficult thing that you've done?
trying to keep everything that I play perfect technically. I still struggle musically with technique and with my playing technique and stuff. But I've been doing battle with it for like 30 years, but I feel like I'm still making improvements because I'm just practicing like a fiend.
Right. So the beat is probably
Sorry.
the beat is the hardest part for you.
Yeah, that is the hardest part. Yeah.
Yeah. Me too.
Mm.
I started out with the flute, but then I progressed to the accordion, eventually the piano, and then finally the guitar because you can't haul pianos like to a campfire. But at any rate, when I did that, I think I didn't like metronomes. It drove me crazy. So, while I had a piano teacher, it was fine when I was playing piano. But as I moved to the guitar, I started realizing that something had gone a little bit wrong. So the the that part of it was very difficult for me to get that beat, and I still struggle with that today. So I can understand.
Mhm.
And it's easier to get lost because when you play the piano, it's a continuous thing. I mean, you've got the beat inside, but you don't really hear the beat in the same way that you do when you're soloing playing a guitar. And and it's more of a smooth flowing kind of thing where when you're doing other things like the guitar or the keyboard, you don't necessarily have that, and it's not like you're going to turn a metronome on to keep. So why it's so difficult for me solo acting, which you do a lot.
Yeah, I
It
want to
is
give a shout out to Steve
that.
Castrita if he's watching because he's helped me with a lot of my recordings and albums, and he's helped with mixing and mastering. And we've just bartered services, and so I've never really had to pay a huge fortune. I played
Right,
on his tracks, he's helped me with mine, so I just say, God bless him.
right. Does playing with someone else help with the beat, or
Sometimes it helps, yeah. And sometimes it does. It just depends on the person.
yeah, true. I have a viewer, Sandra Rita Lopez. She's a bass player. Does a
Uh-huh.
lot of gigs down south. Often fills in for Lynn's gig at the Dawson, and she says, "Great interview." Hi,
Uh-huh.
Sandra. You've been a busy girl. And this is, I don't know if you've ever met Mark, but he works a lot up here in the North End. He plays the keyboard and guitar, and he was just telling us a little bit about his background and some of the things that he finds a little more difficult.
Yes.
Yeah. So let's go back to when you were first starting. And what was the very first performance that you ever did from when you were 14? What were you in high school or had you already gotten out?
Let's see. I did a performance. I was in a camp. Well, I don't like to talk about the thing first. The performance I'd like to talk about the most was when I was 17, when I played my high school lunch hour with a band that called itself Warehouse Roots, because we practiced in a warehouse.
Warehouse. I
Well,
get it.
we rehearsed as a band in the car stacker warehouse. So we called ourselves Warehouse Roots for lack of anything better.
You called yourself Flacco what?
For lack of anything better, we called ourselves Warehouse Roots.
Warehouse roots. Okay, well,
Yeah.
that's creative. So when you were in high school and you did the gig, how did that go?
I think it went pretty well. I was pleased to be able to do that, I think things went pretty well as far as I remember.
Yeah. So, did you ever struggle with stage fright? Did you ever have any feelings about, well, I don't know about this, or did it all just come natural?
I just got nervous. Well, mostly natural. I got very nervous as a classical guitar player because, that's difficult music.
Yes, it
So I'd
is.
be playing super difficult music, in the beginning, and my leg would shake. It's like I'd be sitting down here, and I'd be going like this,
Oh gosh.
like, and I'm sure that the audience could see that.
Well, you know what? I bet they're pretty forgiving.
Yes.
So, were you did the students that heard you during your lunch hour, did they appreciate what kind of music were you performing during
Just
that time?
classic rock cover tunes.
It was classic rock then. I don't know.
Sultans of Swing. We did Sultans of Swing by Dire Straits. We did. Let's see what else. I'm trying to remember. Back in the USSR, Beatles tune, of course,
Yeah,
and
right on.
we did. Trying to think what else there was. Get Ready, the Temptations song. We did that, and then I that was "Oh Comfortably Numb" by Pink Floyd. We did
Oh,
that.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that was all. That's all I can really remember about the set we did.
So, okay, you were 17. At this point, you picked up first the piano and then the guitar.
Actually, guitar first, then the piano.
Oh, okay, guitar and then that's right. Sorry, you told me that. Um, so, which one did you were they always competing with each other, or did you like one better than
Well,
the
until
other?
recently, guitar was my main instrument for a long time before I sort of became a little more priority keyboard kind of guy.
So, after I don't know your background, Mark. I mean, I hear you play and we talk a little bit here and there, but when you got out of high school, what happened to your music at that point? What were you doing with it?
I was playing with a couple of bands. One was just, I realize now, I hope this, I was playing with a drummer in my garage in Palos Verdes where I lived. We rehearsed a lot and we eventually got a bass player. To be honest, I did sing, for that band, but at that time, to be honest, my voice was horrible
Yeah,
because I hadn't really done much singing then. I was kind of
right.
like those contestants on American Idol where Simon, like
Right.
calls them out and tells
Yeah.
them they have no future. I was kind of like that.
Right.
And I also played with a band that played, we were called Monkey with a Gun, and
Like you with a gun. That's a good one too.
wasn't a pleasant, was an okay experience in some ways, not in others. We played some cool gigs, but then, they were very difficult people to get along with. And I think maybe it was because, they desperately wanted to make it. And I was still in an age where I could have done that because I was 21, but I don't think it just wasn't the right place for me to be. And I just felt I just kind of pushed things a little too much. I just made myself stay there because I thought that might end up becoming a big group, and it didn't. But it wasn't healthy to stay put with those guys for as long as I did.
Yeah. Where'd you go from there? What happened?
I went to classical guitar after that.
So to get us some kind of timeline here, um, and were you in your early 20s by then when you went
Yes.
classical guitar?
And I always struggle with technique on classical guitar big time. But I also played with a guy named Derek here in Seattle. We tried to get a band together, sort of a prog band, but I think it fell apart because there was some personal differences between me and him. He could be he was kind of a high strung person, and it was hard for me to.
Sure.
I
Yes.
was kind of high strung too at the time because I was going through a lot of personal stuff. But
Yeah. James made a comment. He said he's great in an interview.
oh,
Do you know James Crawford Tama, right? He's
oh
out of,
yeah, right, right, right.
yeah, he's joined us along with Sandra. So they are on this President's Day. Uh,
Oh, yes,
yes.
it is President's. Yes,
Yeah, it is. Uh, most people have to work, and I would assume that they're probably going to be tuning in later, which often happens.
yes.
So a little bit later, we're going to get into your music, and you're going to play for us, correct? Are you going to use the keyboard or the guitar or both?
I think it's guitar because I don't. Maybe I don't know. It's kind of hard to get the keyboard.
Yeah,
Make it look like you could really see what I'm doing. But we can try the guitar at least.
well, that
Definitely.
sounds good. When I do that, when you do that, I'll get off and you'll just be you, so they can see the whole screen will be a picture of you playing the
Sure.
guitar, and I'll be there, but you won't see or hear me. You just have to assume that I'm there. Okay. So during COVID, you said you wrote a lot. What is your technique for writing a song? How do you write a song? Do
Oh,
you say
I just
words?
I just take out the guitar keyboard and I just start fooling around with chords. And just whatever comes or sounds good, I just keep with me, and then I try to write the lyrics or try to come up with lyrics that at least work. I'm not a very good lyric writer, I don't feel.
Yeah. Well,
I write chords and riffs like there's no tomorrow, but.
yeah. Well, that I have the opposite problem. I'm sure other people do too. And
Yeah.
sitting down to write a song can be, I've written them in 15 minutes. This last song I just put out, "The Devil on My Shoulder," uh,
Yes.
that just wrote itself unbelievably. So you never know. And some has taken me months to write. I'll start out with usually the chorus, and so
Mhm.
I get it. It's not an easy task, and I'm sure I'm not writing hit songs, but I'm writing the best songs that I can write that fit me. We have an
Sure.
excellent comment in here, Mark. Can you see it in your comment area of your
I
computer?
don't see it now.
Huh?
I don't see it.
Okay. I'm gonna take a little time here to write it to read it. So excuse me, but it's difficult for me to see. But it's from Maria Ainsworth, and she said, "You are amazing, and you're quite modest." And when he says he struggles with technique, I'll bet I can appreciate that he always seeks growth. That's some
Yes.
high praise. If you have an opportunity to see him, you should. And thank you for having him on today. Is
Yes.
that your manager?
Um, I don't know who Maria is, but I mean,
Oh,
I mean, I can't picture it. I mean, it's great that she wrote that, but I can't picture her face. I can't put the face with a name.
ah,
She
or that.
probably seen me. Now that I think about it, she's probably seen me over at the Malpi Pizza and Pasta. That's what I'm thinking. Or at the 45 Cellars.
Yeah, I should know that name, but I don't.
Yeah.
I don't recognize it. So,
No,
your go ahead, Mark.
no, go ahead. Where you were going to say something?
Let me say your wife often sings with you.
Yeah,
She's
she
got a
does have a very good voice, and it would be great to include her a little more. But
how's that going?
it's going okay. She's she sort of takes she's working a new job right now, so that's
Oh,
sort of taking priority with her.
yeah. What do you now? You don't work all day,
She
right?
enjoys singing, like when I do songs by Elton John or Fleetwood Mac or Eagles, that's what she likes to sing. She doesn't really go for my original music, so
Ah, yeah,
it's at least not so far. That's how
yeah. It
But
takes
it's still,
time.
but she does have a very good voice, and she does have she's very supportive, and that is something to be that is something to be taken into very appreciative consideration.
Yeah, I got it. So Maria's commented again, and she said, Mark and Anne Marie know me um, as Mary from Port Garner and
Oh,
Docks.
now I know who she is. Yes, yes,
I don't.
absolutely.
I've been
Yes,
to Docks a few times, but with Cyrus there, I used to go there a little more often
yeah,
when Doug Rusk was there. But
yes. I have. Let's see. Trying to think. I'm still writing new songs. I have some stuff that I'll be showing, later on, like online and stuff on Facebook. Whoever wants to go on Facebook and see the stuff,
yeah.
start
Well,
posting new tunes.
do you have any of those albums in hardcover
Not
or
quite. They're
soft
just
cover?
Reverb Nation and SoundCloud, but that's it really.
So you don't have the actual CD. You use to most
Not anymore. Oh, it's just SoundCloud. The thing is, nobody buys CDs anymore, and they're very hard to
very
sell.
expensive. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I have a few, but I always hesitate with doing that because it's no longer what people can well, they're usually more expensive. I mean, you got to have your money back to some
Uh-huh.
extent.
Right.
And online, it's less expensive and much easier to get to and put into your playlist. So that seems to be how today's music is going.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I'd hope maybe we could see a little bit of that, but we've had a little difficulty trying to get this on our
Well, the
present.
video computers can be such a pain.
Yeah, well, electronics, period.
Yeah.
I swear. It's just the way the game goes. So, when you were writing, were you pretty much locked down? I mean, as far as I know, can I bring up what you do for work?
I drive school bus for the North
Yes.
Shore School District. That's what I do.
Yes.
And
And so, go ahead. Go
yeah,
ahead.
and sometimes, like, during the times when I'm not driving, if I'm just hanging out in the transportation office, IDs will come to me.
Do you ever sing in or do any of that music for the kids?
Not really.
Yeah.
I play jazz. There's a jazz station, radio station I play for the kids sometimes.
Huh.
They seem to like that.
What age are we talking here? Are we talking grade school, high school, or
All ages really.
huh?
I turned a couple of preschoolers I used to drive got turned on to jazz through me, so
Wow.
that was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a whole different ball game. I don't know.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
I I don't know about jazz. That's not up my alley. Three chords and the truth. That's where I got stuck somewhere along the line. Not everybody likes country, but
Yeah, I understand that. It's a hard thing to do, but I do manage. You know, I've always liked jazz because I'm just gonna carry this laptop with me for a moment because the thing needs to be plugged in. Here
okay,
we go.
right ahead.
I'm just gonna find where it is. Ah, here it is. We don't want this. We don't want this thing to run out of juice. But I've always liked jazz from the time I was about 14 because I was a big Steely Dan fan and still am from the very young age. So, and someone else who was an art teacher of mine suggested if I was into that, I should check out some more jazz. And my dad had a lot of jazz albums at home. So I listened to like a lot of what he had. He had Miles Davis, John Clemmer, Dave Brubeck, stuff like that. So that was kind of how that went. Ah, there
When
we
you
go. That's better.
so when you were you working? Were you still driving the school bus during that whole COVID business, or
Oh
was
yeah. Oh, I was doing deliveries for the transport for my school district and things like that.
uh,
Or you just drive one student, something along those lines.
yeah? So I've asked this question to a lot of my interviewees about how you felt during that period of time. I mean, you were working, you were active, but a lot of people like retirees and people who do music full time were kind of left in the lurch because there wasn't much work out there. And it
Sure.
was a rather depressing time because of everything that was happening. And so, how are you dealing with all of that at the time?
I was shooting videos of myself at home and posting them on Facebook, and that was kind of
Ah,
what I was doing.
okay.
And plus, I did do one show in the middle of the pandemic at the Route 2 Tap Room in Monroe, and I was remember being really scared because, I
That
was
was
on a stage
hard.
and there was a good distance away from me, from the audience members, but
Right.
still, that was a little scary, as you might imagine. But it was a
Yeah.
good gig. It was one of the best I've ever played, and I made it through that gig. Let's just say I got through it unscathed, is because I didn't catch COVID. So
Yeah. Well, that was outside, wasn't it? Didn't they
it
do
was
that?
outside, yes.
Yeah. I had a friend, his a bass player, Ted Pickett. I don't know if you know him or not. He played out there, and I went to see him, and that was a pretty cool place. I enjoyed the music that they presented out there, but never got out there as much as I like to, and I never saw you out there. So,
Yes.
did you play guitar or keyboard on that
Oh,
gig? Uh,
both of them.
I have a question. One of the things that we did together, not playing together, but we were both invited. Excuse me, was out at La Conner. Have you ever gone back there?
They never asked me to come back,
Uh,
but maybe it was just it's weird because they asked me not to bring any amplification, or that was at least what they said I should not do. And when I got there, I found out amplification was needed. So, but I carried on. I just played my piano because that was loud enough, and just
right.
sang with it. And
Yeah, we nearly froze to death out there.
oh, did you?
my my guitar player had played with my band before when I had my band, and
Uh-huh.
Dave Nichols, and he was so cold. They had a heater out there in the tent, so it wasn't as cold as it actually was, but it was plenty cold. And he died. He that was in I think March of that year,
Yes.
and he died by September of that same year.
Oh wow.
We
Yeah.
lost. He passed on, and that was a great loss. It was a great loss to the music world. It was certainly a great loss to me
Uh,
as a starting musician, and it just I am stunned in my growth because at that point, um, I just didn't want to form a group. I just it
sure.
hit me pretty hard. So anyway, and then I realized that my forte really is playing with bands because I have that problem with rhythm. And if I have a bass player and a drummer there, I listen to them and I listen to the beat. So it's much easier.
I
So the
don't have I
part,
don't know if I've ever had trouble with rhythm. It's just I have trouble with, like you always want to make sure the notes sound just perfect, or like, or just right, or like you're not, say you're on keyboards, you don't want to hit, unintentionally hit the key next to it or something, or
well, last time, I don't, you haven't played, you've played with me a couple times. You had at a couple parties at your house. One of them was Anne Marie's and my birthday, and
yeah.
Kurt's within that area by that time frame. And you guys played a few songs, but the most I've played with you was out at Doc's Tap House a couple of weeks ago.
Yes.
And wow, is that different? You seem to keep up just fine.
Thank you.
I was listening to what you're doing because there's not much else to listen to out there.
Oh yeah.
That keyboard, and I was very impressed. I thought that you did a really good job. That was
Thank
amazing.
you.
Even in stuff you hadn't heard before. I mean, you probably heard it, but you hadn't played it with me before. So
Yes.
yeah, yeah. And so it's about that time. We get about 20. It's about 29 minutes. We're halfway through. So I like you to show us what you do. Maybe you can play
Yeah.
something. And you got three thumbs up here on, and three people at this point are watching that we can see. I'm sure there's,
Can you hear that okay?
yeah, I can. Everybody else. So I'm going to get out of here.
Okay. Now we're just going to tune this up. So you can still hear me though, right?
Yeah, I can hear you. I'm just
Okay.
not on the screen. You just can't see me, but I'm here.
Okay. Well, I can tell you a little bit about this song, and that is, as soon as I tune. Okay, this is good. Guitar is almost tuned. Okay.
You have a question before you start, Mark. Can you hear me?
Oh yeah.
The question is the blues in can just be in your, is it that jazz and the blues are within your voice range?
Kind of. I guess it is. It just depends on what people see as that.
And then
There
Sandra
was a
is saying,
song by Gino Vanelli called "The Evil Eye" that had these sort of chord riffs. And I was messing around with that, and I gave it a sort of a shuffle rhythm like this. And then I started adding this little riff. And I started coming up with this kind of this weird story, sort of a storyline for the lyrics. So and then that sort of took care of itself. It's sort of one of these stories you hear in jazz tunes or whatever. You know about Lisa at the Neiman's counter. Know about Jeremy and his amber power. Here's another story for you. His name was Lucky and it felt so fair. Considered himself first class, never now. No one's made the round at every scene, but it had a streak that was real mean. Mostly sat and talked all night about himself. They said we gotta get this big clown off the shelf. Your talk makes people walk. Your talk makes people walk. Nobody can do with your act around here. Now you're gonna have to disappear. Ooh, yeah. So we took a walk as mad as hell, and maybe it was just as well. Then it came right to a stop as it made it to the coffee shop. But when it told the clerks to get a real job, they chased him out of there just like an angry mob. They said your talk makes people walk. Your talk makes people walk. Nobody can do with your act around here. Now you're gonna have to disappear. Oh yeah. There he was in the eye of the sun, when along came a man with a gun. Lucky went right into his act. The thief had only one way to react. When it left without taking a single thing, didn't even bother to take the pinky ring. Said your talk makes people walk. Your talk makes people walk. Nobody can do with your act around here. Now you're gonna have to disappear. Your talk makes people walk. Your talk makes people walk. Nobody can do with your act around here. Now you're gonna have to disappear. That's Your Talk Makes People Walk.
Thank you. Is that an original?
Yeah, it is.
Cool. Well, you got
Viewpoints, my album Viewpoints, which is on YouTube and Spotify and all those,
All right. Sandra's going to leave us. She's like I said, a bass player. She's going to leave us. And you started playing. She came back.
Oh, did she really?
Yeah, she really did. Anyway, I'm going to leave you. Keep playing for a while. Okay, next couple
Okay,
songs.
I got another original
Two
song
more.
here. I'll give you some background. This was sort of inspired by. This will make you laugh, but there was a song on the Barbra Streisand Chris Christopherson album, A Star Is Born, called Hellacious Acres. Chris Christopherson sang that, and it was about a hell-themed amusement park. And I just remember I thought of that song. I thought I could do it better and rewrite the whole thing and make it totally better. And I came up with this called "Please Come On In." So let me just get ready to tune this thing. There we go. All right, here we go. We've been advertising with posters all over town, and they're coming off the freeway to hear the latest sound. They're all seated, some with a smile, and others anticipating all the while. But please come on in, show's about to begin. Please come on in. In this life it's sad, we need a new distraction. You've seen the same thing for so many years. It's time for a new reaction. And everybody feels the good vibes floating in the air, coming from the dance stage, not the county fair. So please come on in, show's about to begin. Please come on in, no. Please come on in, show's about to begin. Please come on in, no. As you leave tonight with a new frame of mind, please don't let it get you down. When the world brings around, you gotta please come on in when the next show begins. Please come on in. Please come on in when the next show begins. Please come on in. No. I hope you dug that one. That's Please Come On In, which is on
Yeah, I liked it.
one
I
of my
liked it a
more
lot.
recent albums, Road to Testaments.
Cool. So I was looking at all the comments that were coming in, and Sandra was going to leave, and she came back to say, yes, she wanted to hear more. And she said, nice to hear you, Mark. Looking forward to one of your shows. So
Oh,
we're going to
cool.
handle that when we get through this. I think that can't think of anything else. I know James made a comment here, but right now I can't see it. Anyway, that takes care of that part of it. James, if you have a question, just let me know.
Okay.
All right. So, and you can do one more for us, Mark.
Sure.
Anything you want.
And here's another song, another original song, which was I got read this. I wrote this because I was watching the ZZ Top documentary on Netflix, and they were talking about how they got their sound in the studio with the double rhythm guitars, and it was just cool. So I decided to write a song with the same process, made it a ZZ Top type thing. Texas Charboy Blues. Let me just get set up here. Be right back. Okay, here we go. As the day was ending with a fly on the wall and the table down the hall. No place for many miles but the locale down the highway round. They're bringing all their friends, lead and guide. So come on, you know what you gotta do now. Say come on, you gotta make some of your first class stuff. Know the play that you done before. Know the dish of your love, send it out to the floor. Spring and summer and early fall, crowded outside some will stand. The ribs and the catfish go round and round, and they all gotta take their hand. They'll bring a distinguished guest they haven't seen in years. So come on, you know what you gotta do now. Say come on, you gotta make some of your first class stuff. Know the play that you done before. Know the dish of your love, send it out to the floor. So come on, you know what you gotta do now. So come on, you gotta make some of your first class stuff. Know the play that you done before. Know the dish of your love, send it out to the floor.
Well done, Mark. Well done. Thank you.
Yeah, that's Texas Charbo Blues.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
we've got about 15 minutes left here, and I do want to
sure.
get into how we can find you. Like Sandra asked when your gigs are coming up. So that this would be a good time to do it. I know that you do post on my portion of this show called Matured Musicians on Facebook. And people that have gigs and so forth do post there to let us know when they're playing and where they're playing. For those of you who haven't gone there, don't have Facebook, maybe Mark can help us tell us how we can reach him and see him and where we can see him in the future.
I am playing on March 1st at the William deGrasse with my friend John Newmark. Then on June 8th, I'm playing the Everett Farmers Market. And let's see, I'm on Reverb, Mark Goldberg 4, Reverb. I'm on SoundCloud as Mark L. Goldberg. And I think and I'm on Facebook at Mark Goldberg Music, so those some places you can grab me. So,
Do you have a website at all, Mark?
except for the Reverb Nation and the SoundCloud, no, not at this present time.
Okay.
The
So we had
Reverb Nation sort of is my website, if you will.
okay. So we had several comments from Sandra. She's a pretty well-known player. She used to be an Olympic athlete, a downhill skier, prior to her music career, and she was pretty interested in hearing what you had to say in your music. So, what I like you to do, if you have time and you're able to do it, obviously a holiday at the schools today, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there, can you go? This will be posted on Facebook. I'll also be posted on my business account, Country Hot Music, which is
Yeah.
also Facebook. If you go in and answer some of these questions that we didn't
Sure.
actually, or comments that we didn't really get to while she was here, that would be great. I'm sure she'll appreciate it, as well as James and Maria.
Sure.
So, what are your plans for the future? What do you see? How are you looking at your life from now? For anywhere from a year to 5 years from now, where
I
do
just
you
want
have
to
any
keep
plans?
playing gigs more, as prestigious as gigs as I can play. I might put together, a different band for like some other things. I play a lot of Elton John, Billy Joel songs, on piano. So, maybe I'll do a show based on their stuff, as I've done before. I played an Elton John tribute show at the Snohomish Tim Noah Thumbnail Theater back in 2016, which went over really well. So, but I feel more comfortable doing just the two of them because I don't want to, as much as I very much like Elton John's music, I just don't think I could. I don't really have any, not that he's a bad looking person by any means. It's just, I just wouldn't want to look like, have to, dress like him or try to look like him, You know what I'm
Elton
saying?
John, you mean?
Yeah, right. And if you
Yeah.
do two artists,
Very true. It's sort of like Liberace,
yeah, if you do
right?
two artists, they have a little less of they expect that from you a little less, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't get in casinos. Probably you have to have a like a genre that or a person that like Charlie Daniels or uh,
Yeah,
whatever. And I don't know that I like anything that much to get a whole night of it. Uh,
yeah.
oh, and then James says, all you need are the sunglasses.
Yeah. But also, I want to make. I still want to write more stuff, and I'm already am. I have a couple more albums might appear before too long.
How do you feel? How do you find it out there as far as getting gigs?
I just have to be aggressive and just sort
Yeah,
of hunt. That's all there is to it.
yeah. I don't know. I'm still looking for the impossible. I
Yeah.
need. I have a lead, but he's of course in other bands, and uh, I don't know. I'm not as advanced in my playing as you are,
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
so I have a hard time of it, and I want to start doing my own music. I think I have like 15 songs, and we'll soon have about 16 songs out there. I don't
Yes.
make them into albums because independent artists get more play, so I've heard, and
Yeah.
I think so, by putting them out as single rather than the album. And the bigger stars can put out the albums, but for people like myself, the singles are the better way to go. So that's
Oh,
why I
yeah.
do it. Yeah.
Sure. It's understandable.
And
Yeah.
not everybody can play the music. I mean, Chad Christ is a super guitar player, and he on most of my albums. This last one, The Devil on My Shoulder, Drew Schneider did the lead part for that, and he also sang
Yeah.
the duet part.
Mm.
And it's a little easier to follow him, but it's still difficult. I've been making these videos
I
that have
wanted
the
to give,
words come up to help them learn it. But I have chord charts. I have everything they need. But
yeah. I
it's
wanted to
hard.
say to give a shout out to a fellow bus driver named Lyle Ronglin
Oh, I know
because he
Lyle. Yeah, he's
because
just like
he played on a few of my tracks
yeah,
actually. So I want to give him thanks for that.
yeah. I know Lyle. All through COVID, I watched his programs. He had two of them, one on Tuesday, and I believe the
Yeah.
other one was on a Friday. And I would go out to Bothell to see him. I can't even remember what that place is called out there. But yeah, he's really a super good player. And I met him because every Monday night he had a country gig at the Oxford. So he played mostly country music at a jam on Monday nights. Then COVID hit and it went away. So I haven't had any contact with Lyle for some time.
I see him every day, of course.
Yeah, I knew you drove bus, but I didn't know you knew each other.
Oh
It's
yeah,
great.
pretty cool. Yeah. And I wanted to give one other shout out if you just give me a
Sure,
moment. Let's see.
absolutely.
Wanted to give a shout out to a counselor, camp counselor I had around the time I started playing guitar.
Okay.
Um, a guy named Jonathan Cohen, who we all called Jono. I want to say that when I did the last interview, I mentioned the camp that he was the counselor at when I was doing guitar. But because I didn't mention the camp by name, I think he got maybe just a little bit irritated or upset or whatever.
Oh,
Yeah.
well,
So
so who is this man?
his name's Jonathan Cohen. He lives in Nashville now. He's a
Oh,
surgeon, and he was my counselor for a couple years. So for to please him, the name of the camp was it's a Hebrew name because it was a Jewish summer camp. It was called Camp
right.
Ramah, which is Ramah being a Hebrew word for pleasant.
Ah,
Most people who are really into who are not only Jewish but really practice, they know about it. I think
ah,
with kids and all. But anyway,
yeah,
that was a long time ago, and I like to think I've grown and blossomed personally and musically in so many ways,
yes.
not measure since those days.
I think they're striving for getting things right. That that quest in and of itself makes us better.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Yes.
So I have another comment from James. Our friend James says, "What's your favorite type of strings?"
Lighter strings,
Yeah,
just because they're easier to play. They don't give you too much of a hard time.
are they 10 through 13s or just 10s and
No,
11s?
I think about tens.
10.
Not too light, because too light they break all the time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's about what I use on mine.
Yes.
I just got my first nylon string. Have you ever played nylon?
Oh, I used to play nylon string all the time. I was
Yeah,
a classical
classic.
guitar player.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I can't pick like that, but I like that. For some things, I like that mellow. I like that. My ex husband was in the military, and we used to give shows.
Uh-huh.
They were not organized shows, but we go to campfires and so forth and parties. And
Sure.
he's a classical guitar player, and he was very good at it.
Really.
Yeah,
Well, that's pretty cool.
yeah,
That's
I
great.
enjoy
Yeah,
that.
I played classical guitar at a thing in Monroe at Eddie's Trackside, which is no longer there. Roger Fisher, who used to play with Hart, he hosted things over there, like open jams, and he would let me do my classical bit.
Where was this at?
In Monroe at Eddie's Trackside, a place that no longer exists.
Ah, okay. Yeah. He was doing a bookstore there lately.
Oh
I
yeah.
don't know how if it went away or what. I never did make it.
Oh yeah.
I went to him to learn how to do a rock song, and it
Oh,
turned out country, but it
sure.
was about his band. He challenged me to write about Heart in its early days, so I did. I wrote a song called "Pieces One by One" about Heart.
Oh, cool. Very nice.
So, almost at the time we wrap up, we got about 6 more minutes. Um, I sometimes ask people this question. It's probably getting old by now, but what was a time? Was there any time in your life or times where you felt you were playing out and doing your music, and you felt, oh wow, this is what I should be doing. This
I pretty
kind of
much felt like that. I've been felt like that pretty much right from the word go. I remember the summer I learned to play the guitar at that summer camp. I played the camp talent show, and all I did was strum chords. I didn't even sing even. I just strummed the chords. And I just remember getting a huge, huge applause from everyone in the camper audience and everything. So I've always felt that way.
yeah, from the beginning. Well,
Right.
I'm glad that. Were you singing a lot then, or were you
Not
mostly
really. Not no. I was too hung up. I had too many hang-ups to sing in public or even in private.
but you played?
Yeah. Important thing to understand is I did have at the time we didn't know what it was, but I have Asperger's syndrome. I'm an Aspie kind
Well,
of.
I did know
And
that.
the thing about that is that you can't. It's a hard thing to. We didn't know nobody knew what it was about in the 70s or 80s, which
Yeah.
is when I was growing up. So I didn't know what my deal was. So that made things really difficult for me. And music was one of the very few things I could actually excel at. So that just made me all the more determined to keep on going with it.
What exactly is? I mean, there
It's
was
a
a
high
guy
functioning
on one of
autism,
the star
basically.
shows. There was a guy on one of the star shows. I can't remember his name anymore, but we were so enamored by him. My God, he was good. He had Asperger's,
Yeah,
and it must take more than one form.
it probably does. Yeah.
I interrupted when you were saying something there.
I was thinking about I'm always think about when I write songs, the Dead Poet Society movie, when Robin Williams gave a speech to all students about poetry, and he
Okay,
says,
I remember that.
the powerful play goes on. Sorry about that, I did move out away for a minute. The powerful play goes on, and you may contribute a verse. What is your verse going to be? Well, I've contributed a few verses, so I feel good about that.
Say that again. I missed. I was looking at a comment James just made.
Well, Robin Williams said, "The powerful play goes on, and you may contribute a verse. And what will your verse be?" And I myself like to think that I've contributed quite a few verses now, so
Yeah. Well,
it's a
that
good feeling.
if you like what you're doing and you enjoy music and writing all these songs and playing them and playing out in public, then
Yeah.
you fulfilled that goal, and I suspect you have contributed quite a few verses.
Oh yeah, I have, without question. Yes.
So, again, what was the worst? What was the worst possible time? What you ever have any encounters where you said, "Holy cow," do I that was not pleasant. I don't know if I want to do that again.
It was when I auditioned for a band when I was 20 years old, and I had to go to this sort of the industrial section of downtown Los Angeles where I lived in LA at the time, so I had to go to the industrial section of the downtown area, and that was very frightening place to be.
Wow.
It was like a war zone. I mean, it looked like it because it was just like a place where if you were there late at night, you would be
Yeah.
killed.
Yeah.
And I had to go and audition for them. And the guy who was running the band, he was just he had a very, very, very big mouth, and he was just very obnoxious and not an easy person to handle. And that was one time I was vastly relieved when I did not get then I did not pass the audition. I
Wow.
couldn't get out of
My,
there fast enough.
my
It was
stepdad
simply
used
because
to
it was
live in
just a very,
Whittier.
very dangerous neighborhood. I just did not feel safe there at all.
My stepfather used to live in Whittier, and I remember visiting. And of course, that wasn't a bad town at the time. But then I've seen pictures of LA, that part of LA,
Yeah.
since then. And my gosh, yeah, I think it's gotten worse.
Oh, yeah, no kidding. Yeah.
Too bad. Not too bad.
Yes.
Well, we've got less than a minute here. We got 35 seconds, 32,
Yes.
30, 29. So I want to thank you for coming on. I enjoy your music. I
Thank
enjoy
you.
interviewing with you. And I do encourage you to keep in touch. And when you
I
get
will.
something out that you want, we'll find out ahead of time how to put this stuff on the board.
Sure. Absolutely. Yes.
All right, Mark. You take care until I see you next.
Yeah.
Say
Take
hello to
care.
Anne Marie.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Have a good day. Have a good night.
You too. Bye bye. Well, that's it for me. I just noticed I might have messed up. I might have just switched. I was supposed to have Joel Astley on, and somehow Joel got put on the next gig, the 24th, I believe. And I'm going to have to call him if I know what the heck I did. I don't know. Happens sometimes. Too many things coming in at once, and I must have either he changed the date or I made the mistake. So hopefully we'll have him on next Monday. If not, I'm going to take about 2 weeks off to try to recruit some new people. So if you have anybody that you want to hear, and I've had a few suggestions, I have to look them up, and it takes time. Uh, we will definitely be back here again next Monday with Joel Astley, blues player and an awarded blues player in this area. So take care, and we'll see you then. Thank you. Bye. Hope you enjoyed us.